what we're going to do today is talk to one of our MSP friends, partners, .NET Technologies, and we're going to discuss kind of a little bit of their history, where they've been, how they've matured, and then most recently in the last year, an incident that happened that they worked with us on to help one of their customers around a ransomware attack. So, what we're going to do, real quick, we're going to introduce Andrew and Nate here. We're going to let them introduce themselves. So, if you guys want to kick this off, Andrew, tell us a little bit about where you guys are from, right, and your roles at .NET.
Yeah, we're from an awesome little small farm town here in rural Ohio called Elmore. It's a beautiful space, about 2,500 people and one stoplight. As Jay said, my name is Andrew Stainbrook. I'm the president of .NET Technologies here in Elmore. Um, we are a fully managed service provider.
And Nate.
Awesome. Nate Bender, the VP of Technology Strategy here at .NET. My goal is to help align technology initiatives with the clients we work with to kind of match and align with their business outcomes.
Yeah, awesome.
Love the small town.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're in Raleigh. So if people don't know, Enable, we're in Raleigh, the office I'm in right now. But I do have a cabin out in rural America with no stoplights. So I love it for sure. Yeah, it's a great thing. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you guys met. Was it early in life? Was it this business? Give us a little bit of background on when you guys first met.
Yeah, I love sharing this story, Jay. I mean, Nate and we were high school buddies. He was a year older than me in high school. So we, cross each other's in the hall. We never knew business was in our future at that point. But yeah, we met in high school, and just through finding out what we didn't want to do in life, we ended up starting .NET. So I went through college for social work. Wound up taking an aptitude test. It said I wouldn't make a good social worker, but business owner would be in the cards. So called my good buddy Nate, who was running .NET on the side, doing his thing. Said, "Hey man, you want to make this thing official?" So that was around 2010. Although the catalyst to find purpose was there, more importantly, to start the company, give us a little space, get our parents off our backs because we didn't have jobs at that point in time. So, we had to focus on our Call of Duty skills first and foremost at that point in our lives. But the company matured quite a bit through the last 15 years. Most of our time and tenure was spent as a break fix shop, Jay. So we had about 7, 8 years there where we were heavy in the break fix side of things.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've told you all this, but I started a break fix shop about 2002. Buddy was of ours. We got laid off. The .coms hit us, right, and laid us all off. So we started a break fix. So I never had back in those days a mentor, right, a friend, like someone that these guys were. We kind of just cobbled it together, right? And the struggle was real, right? And to
Oh, yeah.
and we didn't know anything about this managed service provider type of philosophy or business model, right? So maybe if you could take us through that a little bit, Andrew, before we get into business transformation, but like tell us about those early break fixes. What technologies maybe, what's things were you selling back then, right? And then we'll
Yeah.
set the stage here for a little bit further in the conversation.
Absolutely. So, Nate and I started this business from nothing. So I remember the days where we would pay ourselves $300 a month just to get us by, right? So, really grinding it out on the break fix side. We always joked that we would fix your server, your network, your workstation, Grandma Cindy's DVD player, anything with a power cord we could get our hands on. We were all about it. So, Nate had introduced the idea of this managed services piece in a way to kind of normalize how we were doing business, create a more consistent relationship with the client. Our first managed service customer, I think, kicked off about 6 or 7 years after we started .NET. And that, of course, evolved over the years, managed services into fully managed services, and then opening up co-managed offerings, as well as as we matured in business.
Gotcha. And and as you matured a little bit, right? Not where you are today, what were some of those challenges you saw in the community that you were trying to solve?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for Nate and I, and some of the biggest challenges that we had, similar to you, Jay, we didn't really have a support system, anybody to bounce ideas off of. So we were really just putting our best foot forward, as motivated people to continue to educate ourselves personally, and then refine the business as we brought on more skills into the organization. So I'd like to joke that there was a time we were pushing free antivirus for years, right? It's
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you just need a free antivirus.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, so after that MSP, I only made it 4 or 5 years with that. I actually joined another MSP many, many years later. And the reason I stumbled across SolarWinds and Able was my job at that MSP was to evaluate product. So we were a small MSP growing. I was working for the CTO, and I was sent out to look at network management tools, right? So evaluations, like all that, right? We all know that, right? Go out, test things, and so forth and so on. So Nate, if you don't mind, how did you stumble across Enable? Were you looking for some sort of tools right back in the day? And also, sorry, tell us like the date of that. Like, has it been 5 years? 7 years? When did you stumble across this? And then, like, what were you looking for?
Yeah, I stumbled across you in 2020. We came from a competing RMM that wasn't cutting it for us, generating a lot of noise, not very intuitive. And I couldn't tell you what exactly pulled me in or put SolarWinds at that time in front of us, but yeah, we found you guys. I think Ashley Hunter was who I talked to way back then in 2020, and she educated us very well, got me in contact with current partners, and kind of really showed us the product, and allowed me to see how much better it was than what we were using before.
Yeah,
So yeah,
And,
answer
and
your
is
question.
that okay?
oh, sorry. I was just going to say as well. I think the biggest thing from our previous RMM was that it was a extremely robust tool that required a lot of programming. It required a dedicated resource to organize and orchestrate this product. We were a team of two. We didn't have time to mess with making sure this product worked the way we needed it to. Enable gave us a turnkey solution that didn't require that. It had those automations built in. It had all of that infrastructure there. So just wanted to add that in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so if we do, yeah, so we think back, so you had customers, some of your customers being impacted by COVID, right? And you were remotely having to figure out, manage and move things into the cloud, and there was lots of things happening that year, right? I would assume for you all, right? So, were you finding yourselves using different technologies as well, like not only just switching off an RMM, but looking to different technologies because of the remote workforce?
Yeah, I think everyone was getting creative at that point, Jay. I think the biggest thing that we realized after partnering with Enable is what we didn't know about the company, what products you all had that could bring
Yeah.
significant amount of value to our organization. I mean, the team did a fantastic job of showing us how these products integrate, how they simplify our lives, how we can be more places at once remotely. So.
Yes, exactly. Um, so a year later, 2 years later, right, you're getting to know the team, right? Like partner success team, so forth, like Nate said. Um, then you stumble across this event, right? That we start to promote, right? We start. I don't even know if we called it business transformation back then, but the idea was to help MSPs like mines, like sizes, right, and mentoring, so forth and so on. So, um, if folks on the call don't know, so we have these two gentlemen, Robert Wilburn and Chris Massey, who run these events. So maybe tell us, Andrew, a little bit about maybe uh, you stumbling across the event, attending the event, just in general, uh, an overview of the way you view these events.
Yeah, and again, another serious plug on the way that Enable manages their accounts. We didn't stumble upon the event. I mean, it was brought right to our attention by our account manager saying, "Hey, I see where you guys are. I see where you're going. I think this would add a lot of value to you." So, Chris Reddy, shout out to Chris for bringing that to our attention back in God, was it 2022? I think was one of the first business
Yes.
transformation events. I think it was pretty new. Um,
Yes.
and yeah, we took a jump. We had never experienced peer grouping. We had no clue what we were getting into. We got into these rooms, Jay, and we're sitting down, and there's 20, 25 plus business owners all there for the same things. Um, I'd have to admit I asked probably an aggressive amount of questions during those 2, 3 days. I was starting to get a little self-conscious there, but just an immense amount of power, not only in bringing these folks together just to communicate as a cohort, but the content that Chris and Robert put together was very relevant for the times. We saw a pretty drastic shift in the security space around that time, and you guys were ahead of it every step of the way and making sure that we had the tools and the skills that we needed in order to execute at the level we wanted to.
Yeah. Excellent description of what it's all about, right? That event is for that. So, was there an aha moment in there? Like, you guys looked at each other, and you took a break, you stepped out for lunch, you spoke with someone, and you were like, Nate, we've got to change.
Nate's laughing over there. I see him
Hey,
chuckling. Jay, I felt
there's a
like
lot of them.
every
A
minute of
lot
the
of them.
session was an aha moment. Yeah. So, no, man, there was a couple of specific things, really getting specific about what we wanted from business. What are we? What is our identity? Who do we want to be? We can't be everything to everyone. We can't be a break fix shop and a managed service provider and a co-managed provider and a cloud backup solutions provider. We can't do it all. So, getting specific was a big thing. After that, get specific mindset, it's really getting focused on what do we need to do to get us where we want to go. And that fully managed all you can eat solution was really debuted to us for the first time in that business transformation. It really changed how Nate and I saw the future of our company. That fully managed offering was the way forward for us.
Yeah, and so everyone understands on the webinar, full what we promote is not good, better, best, right? We promote one solid package, and that should have everything in it that you stand behind, right? Like,
Yeah.
back then it was probably EDR, right? Cove, well, we called it backup. We probably didn't call it Cove back then,
Right.
right? Patching, right? MFA, right? There was that baseline that we were promoting. You need to bundle all those and not do this good, better, best. And then tell us, I know you heard this, you may need to fire some customers, right? Like that was probably an eye opener. I remember hearing that for the first time.
Yeah, it was wild, and again, it was one of those takeaways. I was asking a lot of questions, and there was a guy, I believe his name was Dave, Dave and Dave from Cleveland. These guys were quiet but very intentional with their words, and I remember pulling Dave aside and saying, "Hey, man, my head's spinning here. If I had to focus on a couple things to take away from this, what do you suggest?" And he said, "Get lean, get focused, get specific on what you want, pumpkin plan that business." Offload the clients that aren't feeding the direction that you want to take the company. It was a tough decision for us to make because these folks got us to where we were, Jay. Um, so to turn back and say, "Hey, we're moving in another direction. We really appreciate what you've done for us, but you'll be better suited working with another organization because we're moving in another direction here." Fully managed was the way forward for .NET.
Yeah, and so Nate, what were those products? Do you remember 2002? What were those products you were selling then?
Oh gosh, I think we still had AV Defender, Bitdefender through you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, we were using a PAM solution that wasn't what we have now. Um, no vulnerability management, pretty basic stack. We had the AV, we
Yeah,
had the RMM, and we had a DNS filter and a watered down
gotcha.
PAM solution.
Yeah, yeah. So you leave bank. Okay, so we're there. We're 2002, right? A lot of people selling the same stuff, right? I mean, we sold a lot of that, right? Like ourselves, right? A lot of AV. So jump ahead 6 months, maybe 12 months, Andrew. Take us to where you started before Adlumin. So we're going to talk about Adlumin here in a minute.
Right.
What did you do kind of maybe in that 6 to 12 months that got you ready, let's say, to this next conversation we're going to talk about?
Yeah. So aside from all the things we discussed, getting really specific on what product we wanted to bring to our clients, there was a lot of product evaluation, a lot of demos, trying to find the right tools. One of those products being a SIM solution. We just kept striking out, trying to find the one product to add that significant value. So Nate and I often joke it's our one stack to rule them all, if you will. We our bells and whistles. So we really do have it built out now pretty aggressively, but it took a lot of time to evaluate solutions and find the right fit for us, the right fit for our team, our clients. Um, Fortunately, Enable has a lot of those products already in their lineup, so it made it quite easy for us to bring some of these solutions in. We did hesitate on the Adlumin piece for a while. We didn't quite have the vision for it that we do now. We put our hat in with Perch for a bit, just based on their pricing model and how that worked, and it just didn't stack up to what Lumen could do. Or Adlumin could do for us.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to shift a little bit more into the technology for everyone on the phone. And just so everyone knows, Ed Lumen, right? So in 2003, 2004, sorry, we partnered with this company, Ed Lumen, right? And then Lumen offered an XDR platform as well as an MDR service, right? So we all know what that is, right? And still in a partnership at that point in time, right? And then of course we acquired Ed Lumen. So .net, as we were bringing you on as a new Adlumin customer, right? There was an incident, right? You had an incident with an existing customer. So Nate, if you don't mind, kind of talk us through that. Was that a DDoS attack? Was that a malware infection? Was that ransomware? What happened at a high level with that particular client of yours?
I mean, high level, it was ransomware, as the title of this webinar states. Um, I can elaborate on more of it, but at the time,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
ransomware.
Just want to make sure everyone knows it was ransomware for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You had a client that was being held hostage or
Oh
trying
yeah.
to get to that point, right? For sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were onboarding. You had finished the onboarding with Adlumin MDR, right? You had what technologies were in place at that time as well? Sentinel-1 EDR.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks into the onboarding, one or two, probably 2 weeks, we did have S1 deployed. Did have believe partial deployment of Lumen as well. I call it Lumen. I dropped the ad. As well as of course our RMM, and a couple of our other tool sets. Uh, a lot of those were in still that learning discovery mode. So they weren't so
Yes.
overly aggressive on the infrastructure as we were early in the onboarding. So yeah, we had nearly full stack installed. Um,
And then what happened? What
what
did you
happened?
start seeing?
That's a great question. So the
Yeah.
day of the incident, if you will, we get the call early in the morning. One from S1, and we got the call that they were noticing some anomalies, and that it was a call from clients that there was no access to some of their internal servers. Um, and that's when shortly after we found that there had been a ransomware incident. Came from
So
the outside, of course, like
yeah,
most ransomware.
yeah. How did that get in? Like, do you guys like? Can you tell us if you don't want? Like, if there's some things you don't want to tell us, that's totally I
Yeah, it was
it is,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah. So how did that sneak in?
it was an unpatched firewall. They
Okay.
capitalized on a security hole, entered the network using some cached credentials and spun up some unmanaged VDMs or VMs. So uh, those VMs, of course, being unmanaged, didn't have our RMM tool, therefore did not have our security stack on it. So they had free reign to do what they needed um, from those machines.
And then, so I think Andrew used this term, whack-a-mole. So these VMs are spinning up, right? And then and sitting in one EDR is doing what?
Yeah, it's hitting us with a bunch of notifications, of course, from the endpoint level only. So you mentioned whack-a-mole. That was a whack-a-mole. We're getting all of these alerts, isolated alerts, just for endpoints, just for servers. We didn't have that bigger picture. Uh, so I guess a bigger picture to see where all these are coming from. Of course, we're getting those endpoint alerts, but where did it come in? Um, where did they enter the system? Where are they going next? That's at whack-a-mole. Felt like
Yeah,
we were reacting to symptoms and not looking at that big
that's right.
picture and trying to close it from the outside.
Yes. So excellent. So the reason why we're on this call is to talk about that, right? We have lots of our peers that are probably in that same situation with that technology. And look, EDR was enough probably a couple years ago, right? These advanced technologies around AI, machine learning, and EDR was great. But now we need to take all the telemetry. We need to ingest as much telemetry as we possibly can, right? And these XDR stacks, right? These platforms, more of back to Andrew's talking about looking for a SIM, more than SIM now, right? We need to bring all this telemetry in so we can see it all, right? So Nate, we didn't have the best view of it, right? And now with Adlumin, so we'll talk a little bit about Adlumin. The importance here is we're seeing how it, right? We're seeing the telemetry. The SOC is interacting with your team, right? We're trying to figure out how that lateral movement moved through the system, right? Together, right? So this was a collaborative type of incident, right? When this was happening. So maybe talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, I'm talking too much about Adlumin, like the way Adlumin has helped in this type of situation.
Yeah,
Either or. Sorry, either guy.
yeah, yeah. This specific incident, as soon as we sent ad lumen laterally through the system, that's when we really started seeing more signals light up. That's when we got to see the bigger picture. Um, we started seeing the lateral movement through the infrastructure, through the point-to-point VPN tunnels, the external VPN brute force attempts, the now failed privileged login account attempts across the infrastructure. It's giving us that better visibility, um, and it continues to do that with newer clients as well.
Yeah, Jay, we just actually onboarded a new customer about a month ago, rolled out Adlumin, went through full security audit, Adlumin deployment. The next day, our security engineer came in and said there was 100,000 plus server admin login attempts via the RDP port that this organization was just ransomware for 6 months prior, and the previous MSP hadn't closed those holes. So if we hadn't had Adlumin on there, showing us how many times they were trying to access this infrastructure, that visibility may have been a little delayed, or that response may have been a little delayed.
So it's frightening. It's truly frightening, right? We've been in this industry long enough to realize that we didn't know what we didn't know, right?
Right.
So, are you deploying Adlumin with every customer now, or is that still an option on your stack?
Jay, there are no options on our stack. We don't have the luxury of convenience anymore as providers. we need to work with people that understand the value of the products that we bring to market and are willing to mutually assume some of that risk. Are they willing to put up resources to pay us to reinforce their organization, right? So that mutually assumed risk is extremely important for us. And we do have one stack, and everybody gets the full stack, or you aren't a .NET client.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. We had Brad Walzer in here a couple weeks ago. I think you guys may know Brad Walzer from Walzer Technology Group. Attended many of the business transformations, and he was telling us about how he loves to use an MDR reports out of the MDR when they're doing QBRs or monthly reviews or whatever to help them plan, right? You know, the next 6 months or the next 12 months with their clients, right? So I know that you guys do some of that, use other tools as well, but maybe tell us about the QBRs or monthly reviews that you do with your clients and how you're leveraging these technologies to better report and provide visibility.
Yeah, I think it's been huge for our QBR process in the sense of a lot of the little things that Lumen picks up, the impossible travels, all those little things. It's great to take those high level tickets or categories of tickets to the QBR and show the client, hey, look, this is what we're watching. This is what we're doing in the background. You may not know it, but here it is. But I think it also goes beyond the QBRJ. We've integrated this into our day-to-day conversations and interactions with the client. So I mentioned the impossible travel. There's a lot of times our clients will get personal calls from us and just say, "Hey, SOC picked up that your account logged into Florida. We just wanted to make sure you're in Florida. Is that true?" And they love it. It goes a long way, and I think it helps really build that trust and shows that, hey, we're watching your back, even if you don't see it.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you listen to Rob Johnston, who co-founder of Ed Lumen, this is the world's changing a little bit, right? For MSPs, right? Luckily we have AI, right? And that's helping us with these types of alerting and detection mechanisms, right? But the personal touch changes a little bit now, right? Because you have that visibility through that Ed Lumen technology, you're building that a different relationship with your clients, right? So that's what we're hoping with this, like moving into the future, that it's not that you or us are going to build out a massive team of SOC analysts, right? We're going to leverage AI, right? We're going to leverage the tools, and we're going to be better customers and partners, right, with our customers, us with you, and you with your customers, right? I would say, Andrew, looking forward, how do you view the next 6 months, of your business and in and around cybersecurity and resilience?
Yeah, I mean the work never stops, Jay. And I think one thing to mention as a lean service provider, it's been Nate and I for most of the 15 years, right? We got to rely on people that are focused in certain areas because, like you said, I don't have the resources to hire SOC internal. I need to plug into already baked products that are going to work out of the box. As far as the next 6 months are concerned, we do have a pretty robust stack. However, the analysis of that stack, how that stack impacts our clients, impacts our team, just continuous learning mindset around the tools and around the solutions that we provide our clients. Um, don't ever stop looking forward and bringing new information in to help provide a better service delivery.
Yeah, I mean, collectively, we've all been in technology for many years and grow and scale, right? Without the overhead and the cost, right? So yeah, it's really good to hear that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna open it up here to any questions that folks have in the chat. I see that Emma has gone ahead and kicked off that. If anyone has any questions for Nate or Andrew, please feel free to pop that in the chat. Um, I am going to ask you guys one question. I just found out about a new business transformation. I guess we're getting ready to kick those off in 2026, and the hint is it's going to be around AI, right? Um, have you all heard about this yet? I may or may not be supposed to be telling people about it, but have you all heard about it yet?
We have.
I actually just
Yeah.
spoke with Massey on Tuesday about it, so he gave me the lowdown.
Awesome. Awesome.
Sounds like it's
So
going to be
what's
a fantastic event.
what's the lowdown?
Oh gosh, I should let Massey give the lowdown, but
Yeah. No,
it's very
no.
AI forward, and I think I mentioned to Massey on that call that years ago it was if you don't automate, you're going to be left behind, and I feel like we're repeating that with AI. So I think
Yeah.
as a collective, we need to start leveraging AI in a way where it improves the operational efficiency, helps our team be lean and focus on take those mundane tasks out of the day to day and let us focus on the strategy for the client. 'Cause at the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's what we're here.
exactly. 100%. And got a question kind of in and around that. So, so let me talk about that and what automation means in AI for the Adlumin platform for everyone on the call. So, there are these things called playbooks, and just think of playbooks as rules, right? We all kind of know what these are, right? Business rules, SOAR, right? The SOAR kind of scripting language. So, roughly in a ballpark, our playbooks make up roughly about 600 man hours of coding. If you just think of it that way, right? And these playbooks, so for Nate, when Nate onboards a customer, right, for with .net, um, you can turn on or off these playbooks. So a playbook may be do something, take an action if I see impossible travel. Back to one of your points, right? Lock it down, do this or do that. So these playbooks, we're not only leveraging that SOAR, but with AI, we're learning the behavior of a particular user. So we know that one of Andrew and Nate's clients never travels, right? Never gets on this particular server, right? All those types of things that we know that this behavioral AI is learning, and then can trigger and kick off these playbooks. So again, back to kind of what you were saying, Nate, in this question is uh, Ed Lumen comes with all these playbooks. We keep writing more playbooks, detections, so forth and so on. So out of the box, turn them on. They start learning, right, and grow over time and continuously learn, right. So it's definitely moving to that point in time very quickly. That automation is key again, right. But previously in the world of, I'm not saying knock because I used to work in a knock, but now definitely more SOC, right. So
Yeah, and it's
um
interesting, Jay. You guys, Nate and I just had a conversation probably a month prior to hearing from the Massey and team on AI that .NET needs a strategy for 2026. We got to bring a strategy around AI to our customers, just like voice over IP was. If we don't
yes.
capitalize on that, another MSP might take that market or take that solution over and embed themselves in the client side. I think AI is going to be the same. So unless we're coming as the subject matter expert to our clients and they're seeing us as that subject matter expert, there's some risk involved in AI as it moves forward, as it pertains to keeping clients in that regard.
100% agree with that. Well,
Yep.
you said that very well, Andrew. And before we wrap up, I just want to talk one more thing back to the firewall, right? How this attack came in, right, through an unpatched firewall. When we're looking at MDR platforms, right, we want to make sure that we're pulling in all telemetry, right? Let's not get cheap, right? And only pull in certain telemetry because of the overall cost, right? If you would have not had been pulling that telemetry, right, the SOC would have never been able to see it, right? And then where will you be, right? Like so it was kind of a tough statement there, but we as a community need to all agree that there's no cheap way out, right? Like it's quality, right? You have got to bring all that data in to make smart decisions. So if you guys would like to comment on that, I know I'm on a soapbox here, but it's very important. Well, we really appreciate y'all's time. If again back to so we were originally talking about college football. I'm going to say this here at the end. We're going to pop up a poll real quick. So yeah, if you all don't mind, answer this poll before you drop off. We really appreciate Nate and Andrew's time. We could probably talk another 15 minutes on different technologies, but we'll save it for later. And we really appreciate their time. Thank you all for attending the webinar. If you have folks that missed it, we will have this posted on YouTube, different channels, so you'll be able to hear us talk again. But thank you guys. Hope to see you at the business transformation, and all the best to you guys for the rest of the year.
Well, thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks for attending, everyone. Thank you.